Hello and welcomes everyone, AnthWolf here with more Star Wars The Old Republic, playing as our Smuggler. Where we last left off, we had just finished Chapter 1 of our main storyline here as Malcolm, with the conclusion being of course that the Carbonite man in our hold was Nock Drayan, the notorious king of the underworld himself, and it turns out our lady friend on board our freighter here, Risha, it was in fact his daughter, and they were royalty basically from the planet, is it Dubrillion? I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but yeah, apparently they are obviously in exile, and one of the items we retrieved from a derelict vessel along Shadow was the crown, and obviously allowing or cementing Risha's right to rule the planet. Whether or not that comes to pass or not is another question. The reason I mention this, of course, is because it's 1 AM and I'm probably going to ramble. But I was really interested in continuing this evening and seeing what Chapter 2 has in store for us. So I just want to disclaim a couple of things before we begin. Obviously, this is the same evening as I recorded the final video of Chapter 1 there. I had a long sleep, but that's why I'm probably still awake right now and tempted to keep recording. In addition, I've transferred a lot of companion gifts from my Sith warrior, Sura, and from a couple of other characters that I have on this account, so that I've got Risha's affection up quite high, so that we can obviously unlock her character development, her story, a companion story. And she does have a few things to say to us. Obviously we can talk to her once right now, but we've probably unlocked most if not all of her conversation options right now. So we're going to probably spend this episode getting to know Risha a bit more, probably flirting with her as we always do, or as Malcolm would always do, before we begin Chapter 2 basically. So depending on what happens with Risha, obviously we'll just take this video as it comes. In addition, I will probably take Risha in my party, if I find her here, as it is my companion. Even though she is a pure DPS, she doesn't have any tanking or healing abilities. Her primary stat is cunning. She uses a sniper rifle and a scattergun. Thankfully I did take that customizable scattergun from either Tyrol 5 or Maelstrom Prison. I got it from one of the flashpoints. I think it was from Tyrol 5, but I'm not 100% sure. So basically I've got her a load of customizable armor. Obviously I've given her some of my X earpieces and implants. And basically what I can do every time I gain my next item modification threshold, obviously level 41 I don't need to do it for, but at level 45 I will be able to remove my obviously level 41 mods from myself. I'll remove them. It costs you money to do so. For example, obviously if you right click there, it costs me almost 800 credits to remove this armoring piece. But I'll remove my mods, give them to Risha, and then equip the new and improved mods to myself. So we'll kind of grow strong together. Obviously she will be like 4 levels below the gear that Malcolm will be wearing, but she'll probably be better geared than anyone else. And it won't cost me really anything because I'll just be reusing the modifications, apart from the cost of removing the mods from the armor I'm wearing. And that's really about it. Obviously I've got my level 41 gear ready. Obviously I just need the enhancements and that's it. So when we hit level 41 we can break the video at its allotted time. And I think that's all I really need to tell you all, or what's happened over the past few hours. Obviously we've been working on our archaeology scavenging and slicing quite a bit. I think we need 325 to scavenge some of the droids on our next flashpoint, which is Colocoid War Game, but we should get that quite easily prior to the flashpoint taking place. And apart from that, that's all we really need to know. So yeah, obviously to continue to start Chapter 2 we need to go to the ship's intercom, which is obviously what's flashing here. But let's get to know Risha a bit before before that happens. So it looks like she's down in the engine rooms, playing the role of the ship's mechanic right now.
Thanks for letting me stay on with your crew, Captain. I plan to be a very generous queen to all my friends.
I can see we're gonna get along just fine, your high exaltedness.
Don't start with that. Risha will do fine. For now. Every captain needs a good first mate. Corso doesn't know what it takes to run a starship. But I do. Considering the light years you've been racking up, I suggest a hyperdrive overhaul and a sublight engine tune-up. Which do you want first?
We're always in a hurry. See if you can squeeze some extra thrust from the engines.
Consider it done. I'll be indispensable before you know it.
Another note, I did have a look to see Risha's customization options to see if you want to change her appearance any. And looking at the options, I'm quite happy with her default look, actually. And anyway, we've been speaking to Risha like this since, well, basically we left Coruscant, so why change things now, I guess?
Bet you were surprised to see I can hold my own in a fight. I'm pretty good with a blaster. My father taught me to shoot when I was 4 years old.
You robbed me of my big chance. Teaching a girl to shoot can be romantic, if you do it right.
And very messy if you don't. Maybe he spared you a visit to the med center. Father wanted me self-sufficient as early as possible. Said I'd need it to survive. He was right. I still remember the day he told me he was going to sleep for a while. Said I was on my own.
Nock was in that carbonite for a decade. Weren't you still counting birthdays on one hand?
I was 11. Made my first solo hyperspace jump and flew to Dantooine. Father had a hideout there. Talk about your one bantha planets. For a few years, Dantooine's population was doubled thanks to me and Father frozen in carbonite.
You talk a lot about Nock, but you've never mentioned your mother.
She died when I was young. I don't remember her. Looking back, I should have been miserable. But it was just a big adventure. Speaking of which, we're overdue for some more excitement. What do you say we get back to our latest caper?
Okay, sounds good. I'm hoping that in talking to Risha so far, because we've obviously used companion gifts to boost her affection, she doesn't actually, or accidentally I should say, spoil any of the storyline. Because you were just mentioning how good she is with a blaster there, which we haven't seen yet, obviously, because even though she will be in my party, we haven't yet fought alongside her. But let's keep this going for as much as we can do.
Sometimes I can't believe you actually got back my crown. Do you know how many spacers died looking for it? Don't take this the wrong way, but when we first met I thought you'd end up like all the others.
No wonder you wouldn't let yourself fall for me. You were afraid I'd die.
Oh yes, terrified. You're all right, Captain. With a little polish, you just might shine.
Oh dear.
I've been shining since you met me. You're just not paying attention.
Interesting theory. When you can prove it, let me know. I shouldn't be keeping us from our work. I know how busy we are.
I had to bite my tongue when I saw the second option, I have to admit. It's like, oh my. Yeah. I won't say where my mind goes. It's not safe words.
I think I figured out why we get along so well, Captain. We're both restless people. It's how we survive. Trouble loves us, and we just keep on moving. Eventually Trouble gets tired of following and gives up.
I'm the kind of trouble that never gets tired. Do yourself a favor, sweetheart. Stop running.
I don't have to run from you, Captain. A brisk walk is usually enough. There wasn't nearly enough trouble growing up on Dantooine. After being a crime lord's daughter, sitting around got dull real quick. I had a big library of holo recordings from my father, but I could only watch them so many times.
Never figured Nock for the sentimental type. He left you a bunch of holos dispensing his life's wisdom?
If by wisdom you mean teaching me how to become a criminal, then yes. He was a good teacher. Very detail-oriented. By the time I was 14, I'd had enough. I buried Father's carbonite chamber someplace safe and hit the hyperlanes with a new identity. Those were good times. I met Juran and Adila, got mixed up with Beryl Thorne, lived a life of crime.
I was wondering when she was going to mention Juran and Adila again. The two... I think they were Twi'leks. No, they weren't. They were Togruta, that's right. Occasionally I do get them mixed up. It's the Leku Montreals. Or Montrals. Yeah.
Every time I see some idiot scrubbing tables at a cantina, I think of how lucky I am.
Normal jobs are for people who aren't smart enough to earn a real living. I'm starting to enjoy these chats, but I'm feeling restless. Let's go find some trouble.
Yeah, that's not going to be happening. We're still going to talk to you. If we talk enough to her, we may unlock a side mission for us to go on, so we'll just see what occurs.
I envy you, Captain. You'll always be free to do as you please. That all changes for me, once I'm a queen.
I thought the whole point of ruling a planet was to do whatever you feel like.
My ancestors tried that. Didn't work out. I've studied records about the Drayan dynasty. They started from humble beginnings, distinguished themselves as war heroes, officially anyway. In reality, they backstabbed their way to power just like every other ruler. Some were better at it than others.
Why didn't Nock make his own play for the throne? He was king of the backstab.
He knew recovering the crown was essential to establishing legitimate rule. It's not enough to conquer a world, you have to hold it too. Father had his failings, but he inspired loyalty. Whenever he defeated a rival gangster, he always freed the enemy slaves. He gave them a choice: join him or take their chances elsewhere. No recriminations for anyone who left. The rest became family.
Interesting way to recruit new talent. How many slaves actually signed on?
Those people had a lot of anger issues. Most were excited to have a job that let them express it. There was this one little Twi'lek girl who joined us. Best thief I ever met. Got into all sorts of trouble together. We were like sisters, but when Father's organization collapsed, we got separated. I never found out what happened to her.
Never too late to find her. If she's as good a thief as you say, she might come in handy.
That was a long time ago. Sometimes it's better to leave the past alone. You're really bringing out my chatty side today. That usually means I need to get some exercise. Let's find something more exciting to do than stand around.
I would take those hints, but nope. We're going to keep this going.
Seems like I've been doing all the talking lately. Makes me suspicious. The biggest drawback of the criminal lifestyle is you don't meet a lot of decent men. Most are long on charm, short on substance. What's underneath that charming exterior, Captain? Or is that all you've got?
Maybe I just didn't want to bore you with personal details. You want to know more about me? Ask away.
You're a hard man to figure out. Sometimes you play the hero. Sometimes not.
What's worse? That you can't figure me out? Or that I might not be a hero?
I've had my share of heroes. They can be unreliable too. I won't lie. I enjoy spending time with you, but I'm not like other girls. The easy lines are wasted on me. If that doesn't scare you off, maybe this will actually go somewhere. I guess we'll see.
Well, we have been flirting with you for most of the time we've actually been talking to you. Sometimes the options don't feel right for what I'm doing with a character. But yeah, I'm interested in how Risha's storyline develops. Let's keep this going as always.
If I'm going to take over Dubrillion, I can't keep looking for allies in the same old places. The scum of the galaxy isn't as useful when you're stealing a throne. I need a better class of accomplices.
Ugh. Better class, not politicians.
No matter what you're stealing, you can always use a little scum to grease the works.
I already have that covered, Captain. You're worth 100 normal scum. And I mean that in the nicest way. There are some interesting rumors out of Dubrillion. Turns out the aristocracy is unhappy with the king. Some nobles are secretly rebelling.
Hating the king is one thing. Putting you on the throne is something else.
The point is, the planet's politics are ripe for change. All I have to do is personify that. Dubrillion is turning into another Alderaan. A new queen could prevent that, assuming she had the aristocracy's support. But that means taking this game to a new level. You up for that?
I'm not leaving you until you're sitting pretty on that throne. And not even then.
I'll have to find you a political appointment. Maybe something in sanitation? I've put out feelers to some key Dubrillion nobles. When one of them bites, be ready to pounce. In the meantime, we have plenty of other business to keep us occupied.
Yeah, about that whole settling down thing. I don't think that's really for us. But Nice to have options, maybe have something stable with money on the side, if things get a bit too dicey as a smuggler.
Glad to know you've got my back.
Ah! And we've finished all the conversation options available with Risha. Obviously with our amount of affection with her, which is almost capped out now due to the conversations we've had with her now, more will be available as we probably progress in the storyline. Cool. Oh well, I'll end this video here. We might as well just keep staring creepily at Risha. Let's not do that actually. We'll park ourselves... we might as well park ourselves in the cantina here. And when we come back, we'll use the ship's intercom and see where our story will take us. I have absolutely no idea. I know some of the planets we will visit. The reason for why is another thing entirely. Feel free to comment below if you so desire. This, of course, has been AnthWolf with Star Wars The Old Republic. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye now.